Yo, what is up guys? So this video I'll be breaking down every single new unit in this update, and I'll be doing tier lists only for the new unit. So yeah, it doesn't get too much, we don't really need to know what Tengen is in the meta right now. So I'll be only ranking the new unit in my opinion. So in this update we do have 4 units in total, which is Broly, Freezer, Gogeta, and Stark or Wolf from the World Line 50. So yeah, first of all, let's ask the question, well, should you get these unit? So the obvious answer to this really is yes. Okay, you should be getting every single unit from this update. So let's start with Broly. Okay, so Broly, to give you a summary of him, he has one of the craziest DPS in the game, and not only that, he also have crit, like built-in crit as well, and he has this skill which is a domain that will allow him to get crit and other unbound unit to gain crit as well. We will get into that pretty soon. And then he also do rupture. Rupture is one of the best status alignment in my opinion in the game. So yeah, that's the main reason why he's good. However, there are other reasons why he is bad. So first of all, let's talk about the big reason. He kind of have an anti-synergy with Kaguya, and also something that sucks is that Jin Mori does not work with his ability. So his ability is by default unbound element will go up to 100% crit if there are a unbound unit by default. So what that means is Kaguya or Jin Mori doesn't work. I don't really understand why Jin Mori doesn't work, because anything that require a group or category, he should be a part of that, but apparently his ability doesn't work together. So I don't really understand. Same with Kaguya. Kaguya have the ability to get the element of every single unit from your team. So once you use this ability, and I'll skip few waves because right, so now Broly have 240 crit rate, but Kaguya did not receive any crit from the domain whatsoever, and this 21 crit is from getting unbound element, and my familiar is giving 16.7% crit rate. And same with Jin Mori, this is from familiar 11.5%, and yeah, he did not gain the crit rate from Broly ability. And the other downside is that since I've already used this, there's an active domain, I cannot use Kaguya domain, which is a big downside in my opinion. This is a little bit of a counter synergy. And why is this such a big deal? Because Kaguya along with Broly is both a meta unit. So if two meta units are not synergetic with each other, then that kind of sucks. However, another downside to his ability is it only lasts for 15 wave to 16 wave. I'm not sure exactly 15 or 16. This can be a big downside for something like infinite. So yeah, however, this is absolutely a monster in something like Rift or Stage. So yeah, Broly is a little bit limited by his domain. However, in like infinite or something, Kaguya is still usable after his domain expired. But I think in general, Kaguya domain have more value in terms of infinite. Yeah, that's a bit of a downside, and Jin Mori not getting the crit buff is a little bit unfortunate. All right, let's talk about synergy now that we already talked about anti-synergy. Okay, his synergy is fairly straightforward. So any unbound unit will get the buff, meaning now the two strongest unbound unit in my opinion is Guts and Aizen. Of course, Aizen is like a little bit on the weaker side because he's a very old up unit already. However, Aizen aura having 100% crit rate and this much crit damage, of course from my familiar as well. Okay, my familiar is even minus crit damage and crit chance, but yeah, Aizen having this much crit damage and crit rate is absolutely criminal in my opinion. So yeah, same with Guts, this much damage, this much DPS with 100% crit rate, not to mention Aizen aura and Guts bleed, they do also crit. So yeah, this is absolutely criminal. The only thing I can see here is honestly Rift MVP in my opinion. So yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. Let's damage test it with Escanor. Oh my god, Escanor is too weak. So okay, let's test the damage out a little bit. Right. Okay, so that was one cycle of Aizen ability. They were able to do 13 million damage in that one cycle. So I think that is pretty insane. And not to mention, Broly is fortune because my luck have not been great. Okay, so yeah, that's that. And Gus is still doing absolutely ton of damage. They're doing like already 30 million damage without the Aizen help. And Guts is poorly placed as well. So yeah, this is absolutely amazing DPS from all the unit that is buffed. However, if I were to pick one unit, like the main winner is definitely Guts. I think Guts have like the highest DPS in the game already, and giving him 100% crit rate just kind of solidify it. But yeah, don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if Guts actually have the highest DPS in the game right now, but yeah, that's that. Let me give you a bit of a tip on Broly. So he does have one of his passive that will reduce his cost up to 30%. So I'll just wait until he hit his max. And how do I know he hit his max? It should be 140,000 or 104,000 at the upgrade. So his 30% discount is supposed to reset every single upgrade. However, if you click here, like if you click on this upgrade or this upgrade, it will count as one upgrade, meaning that you don't actually have to like upgrade, wait, upgrade, wait, upgrade, wait. So yeah, this is a little neat trick that I learned. Of course, I have fortune, meaning the cost is reduced. So yeah, it will go below this, but you can click this and then it will count as one upgrade. And yeah, that's a little neat trick. So in summary, I think Broly is a really good unit, but seeing how heavy he leans into DPS kind of concerned me a little bit with how more generous enemy Vanguard has been with power creep. Compared to something like Vanguard, Songjinwoo or Kaguya, I don't think he is as future proof as them, because Kaguya, even though her damage is like not great anymore, her support is still top tier, being like having freeze, having repulse, having 30% buff on top of having a decent amount of DPS on her. I think she's going to have more uses compared to Broly once the power creep hit. So Broly, really the only support that he have is his ability, which give the unbound unit 20% crit rate up to 100%, which so that is the only support that he have. And for Vanguard Songjinwoo, he will be useful in infinite no matter what, because his summon scale with enemy HP, so that will always be useful in infinite at least. So yeah, that is a little bit of my concern on Broly. However, overall in this update, I think Broly is definitely a high meta unit, but I don't think he is going to be the best unit in the game right now, especially seeing how he is. And there is a lot of downside and some anti-synergy with a lot of meta, with Kaguya specifically as a meta unit, and not working properly with Jinmori is quite criminal. So yeah, that is unfortunate. Okay, so the next unit that we're going to be talking about is Freezer. Let's go. Oh, okay, so Freezer, right, in my opinion, I think right now he is probably the best mythic unit in the game. And if you are a new player, I think Freezer is a great pickup, and you can look for a group to do dungeon to get Freezer evolve material. And then once you evolve Freezer, you do not have to have any traits. You can let this Freezer solo the new dungeon, so you can get Broly or Gogeta and your other unit. So Freezer is definitely a very good starting, like, early game unit in my opinion, if you can find someone to like go to dungeon with you to be able to evolve Freezer. So yeah, he's very good. And as for his summon, he has 3 summons, right? So which one is the best? Okay, I'll say it right here. The first one is the best. Summon every 6 seconds. I think this one is the best. Why? Because, well, summon will be equal to his damage. So yeah, that's pretty nice. However, right, the only thing I have with Freezer that I don't really like about him is that he is kind of Monarch locked. Okay, so what is Monarch locked? Meaning the character doesn't function very well without Monarch. But for beginners, of course, you're going to breeze through the whole story, legend stages with Freezer because of how inflated damage is. But he doesn't scale very well if you don't have Monarch on him. Comparing normal Freezer to Monarch Freezer is like night and day. In my opinion, I think Freezer without Monarch is at best an A tier, right? A tier is still good, don't get me wrong, but Monarch Freezer would be meta or even high meta in the low end. Like he can compete with someone like Guts, Jinmori, or even Griffith, but I do not think that he is, you know, that valuable to be getting Monarch on. There are other units that you can get Monarch on. Even the next unit that I'm going to be talking about, Gogeta, which you need Freezer to get, is more worth it to get Monarch on compared to Freezer. So yeah, it's just my opinion. And the summon, he equal to Freezer damage if you have Monarch and Freezer is going to be 400,000, which is absolutely insane per summon. Is quite frankly insane. It's definitely better than Yamamoto in terms of summon, in my opinion. So yeah, Freezer in overall I think is a very good unit. Like I said, he is a very selfish character. I feel like he does not really synergize well with any other unit. Maybe if you have Monarch and you're using Alien Cadet, you can have like buffer like Griffith or even Kaguya to like put on him, but yeah, that is a little bit lame. And not to mention, Freezer placement is quite expensive. Okay, 100,000 for maxing Freezer, and each of the Alien Cadet using like 30,000. That is like 200,000 to max everything out for Freezer. That is quite expensive in my opinion. So yeah, if you are lucky enough to get Monarch and Freezer, he is a very good unit. He is going to be meta, low and high meta unit, but he is definitely very good if you have Monarch. However, if you don't have Monarch, he is a great starter unit, and he is in A tier and probably the best banner unit that you can get, in my opinion, of course. So yeah, that's it for Freezer. Let's talk about the next unit. So next we are going to be talking Gogeta. So 3 placement, right, pretty neat. However, I did make a showcase video on this. So he buffed this specific archetype of unit called Fuse Unit, and Fuse Unit I believe is Goku, Gogeta, like the other version of Gogeta, right? And then you also have Jinmori because he counts himself as every category, so by default also Ishigo, but yeah, we understand that already. And then I believe Boo is also a Fuse unit. So yeah, let's test this out, right, just for you guys to see. Yeah, there we go. Goku just gained 50% crit damage, 95, also 50% crit on Gogeta, and it doesn't seem like Boo gets it. So does Boo not count? So yeah, basic. So Gogeta, in my opinion, being able to give crit to any Fuse unit, that include Goku, Gogeta, and Jinmori. This out of the 3, the main winner for this one is definitely Jinmori, because right now Jinmori with Monarch is definitely probably one of the highest DPS unit in the game, and with his ability to summon clone. However, his clone summon doesn't get the crit buff, but the crit damage can be given to Gogeta, which is very neat. So I'm just gonna wait for this. Gogeta of course have 100% crit rate, since he already have 100% crit rate, I'll just mention this briefly. His best rate is going to be Monarch, because he does not have the passive like Broly, Wish, Convert, whatever is higher than 100% to crit damage. So yeah, best rate for Gogeta is Monarch, because by default he already have 100% crit rate. So Gogeta is absolutely insane with them. If you want to go like full DPS Gogeta, you would go like 3 fuse unit that can, and you want like Gogeta Deadeye as well, so you can buff crit damage on Gogeta. Oh my god, it sounds so confusing, but he can buff himself with crit damage. And his best energy in my opinion is with Jin Mori, because why Jin Mori with crit rate? Broken, because his damage is already through the roof. And yeah, that's basically it for Gogeta. His best rate is going to be Monarch, and then I think Ethereal and Deadeye. I'm not sure if Deadeye or Ethereal is better in terms of second best trade, but Monarch is definitely his best trade, and you should be getting him. He's absolutely busted in my opinion. He is so good. So yeah, please consider getting him. He's very good. He will be high meta, but I don't think he'll be as high as Broly in this update. And then next, Worldline unit, I do not have him yet, but I do have enough information on him to be talking about him. So let's get this right off the bat. I think the problem with Stark or Wolf is that what he does is like another unit is already doing it and better. So Stark main like attribute to him is his support, which is a 50% slow for 20 seconds. You have weather report, right? You have weather report that can do slow 50% for 30 seconds, which is insane, right? And then also give bubbles, and this is just for extra damage, right? Wolf do good amount of damage. His best trait is going to be Deadeye, and he is 4 placement. His damage is not too bad, but in terms of support, there is already someone else who's doing it better. And in terms of DPS, there are already other unit who is better at doing damage than him. So is he bad unit by any chance? No, he's not a bad unit. He is a lightning or storm. What is it called? He is a spark unit, which right now we don't have a lot of good spark unit. Maybe beside Virgil, but Virgil is already like getting his test up time, and he's like falling behind in terms of DPS. So, and Yorishi is already long gone. So in terms of spark unit, Stark is very good. Is he going to be like a high meta unit or meta unit? In my opinion, no. He is at best a sub meta unit, or like A tier. So yeah, that's my opinion on Stark. So that will be it for this video and meta analysis and my tier list. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.